All right, we just got done taking a look at some turning movements. So again, we're in that short movement package. So now the next step after a turning movement is we start talking about single step movements or true short movement. We focus so much on shooting on the move, we don't necessarily realize that in our day-to-day life, we get out on these ranges and we train on ranges, and it really jades our view of the world and what the world really is like. We're very rarely going to be involved in a situation in an open area like a range, even a small bay like we're in right now. Think about your day-to-day lives. As you go about your life, you're only ever a few steps away from at least a piece of concealment. Not too often do we get pieces of cover in life, unlike on the range here where we set up these nice barricades and the world's great and this impenetrable magic plywood. The real world doesn't work like that, but we do have cover and we do have barriers that we can put between ourselves and our adversaries. We have angles. Remember I said it's a game of angles. We can increase and decrease those angles based on vertical structures, walls, doors, things like that. And we're usually only a step away. Really take a second now and think about your day-to-day life as you do everything in your life. Anywhere where you could possibly have some type of a threat. How far are you from your car, from another room, from a doorway, from a desk, from a piece of furniture, from a tree if you're outside, from whatever you got? You're pretty close. So short movement becomes very important. And if it's taken us the time, that decision-making loop, we talked a little bit about that mental clutter, that's where the time comes in. That's where that delay comes in. We focus so much on draw speed. Draw speed doesn't mean as much as mental clutter. Mental clutter takes up the time it's going to take you to draw that gun. But now into single step movement. We talked about how in our environments, we're a close distance from a lot of different things. So I can make that single step, that small step, to increase my chances of being successful in a fight. Changing those angles, it's still a game of angles. That movement is vital. Just like in the turning movement drill, we can go in the standard directions. Same thing, forget my feet. Waist down doesn't exist. I know I want to go forward. I know I'm practicing going forward. I'm going in all directions. I want to move in those directions, and I want to draw my gun and fire my hits. I don't have to think about my feet. That lets me focus on the decision making that I have to do in a real fight. I know I can get to my gun. I practice my manipulation skills. I know that in the time it takes me to draw this pistol, I can make that 1 or 2 steps. Simultaneous movement again, so I'm making those single step, those short step movements in all those directions. And again, following that same rules in turning movements, aggressive and athletic. So I'm not looking to just take a step and then get into a stance. I'm looking to work my way into that stance, because guess what? That's what's really going to happen. We're going to lower our center of gravity. It's those natural protective postures. We do that anyway. It's good for us, so let's train it. It's what we do naturally. We never look to train out that natural response. We look to enhance that natural response. So it shouldn't look like this. I shouldn't take a step, draw, squat down, and then fire my shot. That's not what I'm looking to do. I'm looking to do all those functions simultaneously, pick my speed up. But again, forgetting my feet. I don't need to worry about what my feet are going to do. I know I'm moving forward. I know I'm going to fire a shot. I have a threat. Someone's trying to harm me. So instead of that step down, drop, draw, I do it all together. Get a little reload in there as well. So looking at these movement principles, I know I can move in any direction, and I can practice this myself. I can drive that gun. I can work on moving single step in a lot of different directions. Single step moves to multiple step movements, and a couple of short movement, single step movements can get me somewhere that's a better angle. Forward, left, right, back. I can move in any direction. I can use that same clock drill. We're going to have Ben come back in here. I'm going to show him a variation on the clock drill with this one as well. I can do that same thing, and I got to think first. But as I do that, simultaneous movement, moving in that aggressive athletic manner. So as I step to the side, I know that I can move in. I can fire my shots. If I'm moving over here, I'm here. I know I'm setting up. If I'm going back, okay, Ben, you remember that drill that we did with the clock drill?
Sure.
We're going to do the same thing now again, just with single step movement. So all we're looking for you to do is take that one step to whatever direction I call out. Imagine that clock back on the ground. I'm going to give you that clock position. That whatever number I call, that's going to be your threat command. I want you to deliver anywhere between 3 and 5 hits on that target. So again, making good hits, not just shots. But wherever position I call on the clock, you're taking just that single step movement, wherever that goes. Forget your feet. Cool in the drill?
Yep.
All right, man, let's do it. Go face down range. All right, man, here we go. Stand by. 10. 10. Holster and stay right where you're at. Stand by. 3. Don't be so quick to come back in. Don't be so quick to come into your ready position. Stay on that target. Remember your scans. Down scan first, shoot them into the ground. There's variation in this drill now. A little bit more complex, adding a little bit more of that mental clutter. Help us work on our processing skills. Again, it's so important for us to be able to make the correct decision than necessarily make that quick decision. Yeah, we got to make decisions fast, but we got to make the right decisions or we're not helping our defensive purposes and we're not winning that fight and we're not doing things that are going to help keep us safe. So a little bit of a variation on the drill now. So instead of just a clock position and calling out a predetermined number of hits, Ben's going to act as my training partner and he's going to call out a 2-digit number for me. The first number is going to be my direction. The second number is my number of hits. So for instance, if he calls out 35, I know I have to take a single step movement to the right and get 5 hits. So we're going to work through a couple variations. We're just going to let the camera run. I'm going to shoot each drill, scan, assess. I'm going to work my way back to my holster. And once I do that, Ben knows I'm ready to go again. He's going to give me another set. So let's give it a shot.
All right, Phil, you ready?
I'm ready to go. Let's do it.
12. 32. 73. 32. 96.
96. This is one that's good for you to start off very structured. There's some clock variation drills that we can do with this, but I'm just going to show you some real simple turn and movement drills that are together. That's more realistic to what we're actually going to be doing. So if I know if I'm facing here, I perceive a threat over here in slow motion, I'm going to see it first. I'm going to begin to turn my body towards that threat, but I may know that my movement principle is really, really key right away. So in an instant, and if I paint this little picture for you, if I've got the corner or a hallway or a door just to my side off to my front, I know if I have a threat there, but I'm only a step or two away from that, or a couple steps away from that, I'm going to start making that movement to that. I may turn, start making my movement and fire my shots. As we go on in further series of this video, we're going to talk a lot more about where that decision-making threshold is, where is it better for me to turn and try and shoot, or is it better for me just to get myself to some cover and then assess my angle and assess my position? I'm going to take that away in this one. I'm going to say, no, I need to shoot. This is a spontaneous threat. Much closer than that guy is right now, that steel target is now. But it would look something like this. If I'm making that turning movement, turn and then a single step movement to what would be a 2 o'clock once I'm facing down range. So again, as I'm up, I perceive my threat, I begin to make that turn and I can step and fire the shot. Now that's in slow motion. What it would look like in reality if I'm here, even if I'm just here talking to the camera, but I know that as soon as I turn around, I may have a single step movement, so I'm moving here. I may have a movement principle that I need to engage. That was a turning movement and a single step movement all in one. Most important thing is aggressive athletic movement, real movement, not silly range dance, but real movement. Remember, somebody's shooting at you, okay? Somebody's looking to take your life and to harm you. This isn't time for slow and deliberate. That's the range thing. We train to that. We need to train to our real responses. So this has been what we call our short movement package, those turning movements, those single step movements. Those single step movements, and even up to a couple of steps. We include those as short movements. Those are key as we begin to build our skill set and talk about the next step, making that decision of whether to shoot on the move or move and then shoot. All right, guys, we're wrapping up the short movement package. Check out our next video. We're going to talk about that shooting on the move. My pet peeve, man. Everybody trains shooting on the move. Most people do it wrong. Most people think about it wrong and they train it completely wrong. So we're going to give you our take on shooting on the move, making that decision of when to shoot, when to move, and when to do them together. Stay tuned.